For the next DIY, I'm going to use one of the green wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. And I have one of these sand dollars left over from the Shore Living line last year at Dollar Tree too. It is like a wooden wall charm. Really, you could use about anything. You're just going to want something coastal to hang down in the middle of your little mini wreath. Now, I am going to paint mine with just a tan color. I think this is Beachcomber's Beige because I'm going to be using a white burlap on this and I don't want the green to come shine through the holes in the burlap. So I just went over the one side with one coat and I'm just giving it a really simple paint, just enough to mask the green is what I'm going for. And what I want to do is make this look like a little coastal 4th of July like life buoy using white burlap, red burlap, and then I want to do blue and white starfish for the stars on the sand dollar in between. Now, if you had like a wooden sailboat or anything that is going to fit scale wise inside this, I think anything coastal you could add some stars to and make it really cool. For the front part, I did go over it with a couple of coats of the tan paint to make sure that you can't see the green through it. And this is what we're going to use to form the life buoy. I got this red burlap-like ribbon at Dollar Tree the other day. I think that's perfect. They had red and navy, I think probably for 4th of July, and also some of this white burlap for the 4th of July. And I really wanted white burlap ribbon, but I don't have any that's white. And I want to do red and white flag stripes is what I want the life buoy to kind of look like. And so I definitely need it to be like a whiter and ivory color. So I just measured how wide my burlap ribbon was and I pulled a strand of the burlap. It makes this great little path here and it is definitely the best way to cut burlap, and it just gives you a little path so you know exactly where to cut it so you don't cut across the different rows. And I just want simple burlap. I know the other one has wires on it, which is not really necessary for what we're doing. And so I'm just going to cut enough of the ivory. I basically want to cover the entire little mini wreath with the ivory first, and then we can go back and add the red burlap to it for the different parts of the life buoy. And this is such a cute little wreath. You could do it for your door. You could hang this on the wall since it's kind of small. Really cute and very subtle for a patriotic DIY. So I just cut enough of the burlap to get us started. I did have to cut more. And I basically want to wrap this. So I'm just going to start here on the back, hot gluing that to the foam. It is foam, these foam wreaths from the Dollar Tree, but you know, they really hold up pretty well to hot glue. They don't sizzle like a lot of the foam pieces do. And I'm going to slightly overlap as I, kind of have the arch of the wreath form. And I want to make sure my seams are all in the back. So I'm going to cut that a little shorter and then just hot gluing one piece of the burlap ribbon that we made to the next piece. I can continue wrapping that, but all of the unsightly seams will be on the back where you won't be able to see them. And I'm just going to continue that all the way around. Now, I thought I cut a good amount of burlap, but you really need a lot of it when you're wrapping something like this. So definitely going to have to cut more. I don't really want to add the red separately. I want to put the red over the top of it. So I want everything to be covered with it. And I love a burlap wreath. I love using the burlap rolls from the Dollar Tree. They make great wreath forms. But again, I wanted white on this one, so I was glad to find some white burlap from the Dollar Tree. I wish they had even more colors. That would be fantastic. But I just continue that ribbon, and it's easier to start and stop as you're doing it so that way you know all of your seams will be right where you want them because you can trim the fabric down. So I think that is perfect. I can cover up the little part that's not covered there with some of the red burlap. And it's not really as wide as I would like, so I'm actually going to wrap it around a couple of times so I can have 4 of the straps for the life buoy or life ring, and they'll all be red. So it'll kind of look like red and white flag stripes is what I was thinking, the same color. So I'm just going to cut 4 pieces of that burlap ribbon down to size and then put this on. I want to glue it a little bit at an angle so that I can wrap it. Another thing you could do if you wanted to make it wider is just wrap it straight around twice. But I just went ahead and did the same piece and wrapped it around. Now I was forgetting something really important here. I did want to put rope around the outside of it like a life buoy has, and also an important hanger for this one. So I did glue that one on before I remembered the rope. So I'm going to have to go back and add that. I started to put the second one on like straight across. And that's when I remembered, oh, yeah, I want to put some rope on this. And so, what I'm going to use for the rope part is some of the brown rope from the Dollar Tree. I think this is a thinner one, which works well for the scale of this wreath since it's not really big. I've made larger versions of the life buoy and I've even made a patriotic one before too for my front door with a paper mache starfish on it. It turned out pretty cool. So using my heat gun, I am going to soften that hot glue so I can go ahead and put my rope in, the one that I already closed off, but that's okay. I just put that in there and then re-hot glue that on the back, and no harm, no foul. And now I can continue that rope all the way around. I did want to go opposite to the other side so I can kind of get my spacing somewhat even. I want to do like 4 quadrants of it, but I also want to have a little bit of extra rope stick out in each section so I don't pull it tight. I leave a little bit of loose rope there before I glue the second part of the ribbon on. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to continue that. I need to do the red section on the other 2 sides and finish off the rope. So about halfway here with the rope, I'm going to go ahead and do this section, wrapping it around twice. And I'm not really gluing the rope on at all. I am just putting it inside the ribbon where I can actually pull it if I need to adjust it. But I also want it to be stiff enough to kind of stand open like that when it's hanging on the wall. So for the last piece, I just glued the 2 pieces of rope together so they would be a solid piece, really easy to hide behind the ribbon, and wrapped my 4th piece of the red ribbon around for our red and white flag stripes. Gonna hang it probably like this, and I want to make sure that the rope does stay in place. So I did glue the rope, but only here for the hanger, and just gluing that to the burlap ribbon just so that I'll stay in place. And then I want the sand dollar to hang down in the middle of the little life buoy, just like this. At first, I liked the rope that was on here, so I tried to save it, but I probably should have taken it off before I started painting it because there's no way I could paint this without getting paint on the twine there. And I am painting this with turquoise all over with a sponge. It's a really pretty wood starfish, so cute. And again, originally I was thinking I wanted to do a sailboat in there, but I didn't really have any sailboats the right size, so I think a sand dollar is going to be cute too. I want to do lots of variety with the coastal items today, and hopefully you have some shore living still in your stash like I do. I'm so disappointed. I really hope they bring it back next year. Hopefully we've complained enough. I complained so much that I thought I was going to just be banned from Dollar Tree. But I painted that all over, even on the inside there of the little slots. And then I'm going to do starfish pattern on here for our stars. By starfish, I just mean a star with like rounded edges. I thought that would make it look a little bit more like a starfish, maybe. And I'm doing it with my white Posca paint pens. And I did it like right in the middle of the star, even though that doesn't really line up with where the hanger is on that. I realized afterwards, but that's okay. I want to stagger the starfish all over like the stars are on a flag. And I also have to work around the parts of the sand dollar to see what kind of fits. I used a fine point white paint pen at first, and then I'll go back over it with a little bit more paint for the second coat to really make that pop. I do want it to look a little bit distressed, but I do want the white to really kind of pop against the turquoise color. So I think that looks pretty good. Now we can just hang that in between our little flag stripes buoy, and I just take some twine. I'm using some thicker twine. That's the twine from Walmart. It is pretty similar to what was on there before, and I'm just going to actually loop it around the wreath form like that. I think it will hang perfectly like that, but because of how the hanger is on the sand dollar, and I just tie that around. I don't want it to be super obvious that it's knotted though, so I'm going to glue that knot here to the back so you don't see that. It doesn't really take away from anything, and have our little starfish sand dollar in the middle. So cute and very subtle for coastal 4th of July, but I love it. I love the colors. And look at all the fun textures with the different colors of burlap for the red and white flag stripes. We have the rope, we have the blue with white stars, but using turquoise instead, and the sand dollar. Very, very coastal, which I really love.